I want you to close your eyes for a moment and recall the last time you felt truly angry. Maybe it was a driver who cut you off, a boss who disrespected you, or a comment online that attacked your character. Feel that heat rising in your chest and the tension gripping your jaw. Now open your eyes. What if I told you that this anger, while physically real, is based on a complete hallucination? It is a controversial truth that most people refuse to accept. No one on earth has the power to upset you without your permission, yet we hand over the remote control of our emotions to strangers every single day. We live our lives as slaves to our own reactions, exhausted by defending an image of ourselves that doesn't even exist. We think we are fighting for respect, but we are actually just trapped in a mental glitch. But there is a way out. Hidden in a 2,000-year-old Taoist parable is a secret that proves your enemies are not who you think they are. In the next few minutes, we are going to dismantle the illusion of malice and hand you the ultimate tool for self-mastery. By the end of this video, you will understand why you have been fighting ghosts and how to finally reclaim your peace using the strategy of the empty boat. When anger takes the wheel, the body undergoes an immediate shift. Heat rises to the face, muscles tighten, and true self-mastery is often the first thing to jump overboard. In that split second, the mind acts like a dramatic screenwriter, instantly spinning a tale where the person is the innocent victim of some great injustice or someone else's incompetence. It is not just a fleeting annoyance. It is a biological hijacker that steals rationality, leaving the person ready to fight a war that might not even exist. This internal storm feels valid in the moment, but it is actually a trap that keeps the spirit small and reactive. Most people walk through life utterly exhausted, not from hard labor, but from the heavy burden of fighting these imaginary battles all day long. Without applying practical wisdom, precious energy is wasted, rehearsing arguments with bad drivers or rude co-workers, causing one to drift far away from any unshakable purpose. It is like trying to punch the wind. The effort is real, but the impact is zero, and it leaves a trail of emotional fatigue that ruins the rest of the day. This constant defensive mode blocks real progress, turning life into a series of knee-jerk reactions, rather than a deliberate, conscious journey. To truly unlock a growth mindset, one must question the deep-seated belief that there is always a villain out to get them. This rigid defense mechanism is the ultimate wall blocking the flow state, because flow requires water-like adaptability, while anger demands stone-like resistance. The great irony is that we often scream at the world for hurting us, without realizing that our perception might be the only thing actually inflicting the pain. To understand this clearly, we must look at a foggy river in ancient China, where a simple boat ride reveals a profound secret about human nature. Imagine a solitary man rowing a small wooden boat down a misty river in ancient China, fully immersed in the silence and the gentle rhythm of the current. Suddenly, out of the heavy fog, the dark silhouette of another boat appears, moving directly on a collision course with his own. His self-mastery is tested immediately as he shouts a loud warning, waving his arms frantically to alert the other pilot to change course. But the boat keeps coming, silent and relentless, ignoring his desperate cries completely. As it cuts through the water, the inevitable crash happens with a loud thud, rocking his small vessel violently and threatening to capsize him into the cold depths. Furious at such negligence, he stands up, ready to unleash a torrent of insults at the careless fool who ruined his peace and endangered his life. This moment represents the absolute opposite of a flow state. It is pure, rigid resistance against reality, fueled by the burning certainty that someone else is to blame for this misfortune. He takes a deep breath to scream, his face red with indignation. But as he peers into the other boat to identify his enemy, he freezes. The boat is empty, having simply drifted loose from its moorings upstream. In a fraction of a second, his rage evaporates completely, replaced by a sudden calm because there is no unshakable purpose or logic in yelling at wood and water. The collision was exactly the same. The physical impact was real, yet the anger vanished the moment the target disappeared. This strange phenomenon reveals a glitch in the human mind. If the damage is identical, why does the emotional reaction change so drastically? The anger evaporated, not because the collision was reversed, but because the narrative of malice collapsed instantly. The human brain possesses a specific glitch. It is obsessed with assigning agency, constantly scanning for a villain to blame. For every misfortune to make sense of the pain, practical wisdom reveals that we suffer far more from our interpretation of events than from the events themselves. By assuming intent where there is none, we voluntarily turn simple accidents into personal insults. In the modern world, most people who crash into us, the aggressive driver, the rude cashier, the online troll, are not calculating enemies, but simply empty boats. They are vessels drifting unconsciously, steered not by a desire to hurt you, but by their own past traumas, blinding stress, and chaotic emotions. To view them with a growth mindset is to realize they are not attacking you personally. They are simply crashing because they have no one at the helm of their own self-mastery. Screaming at these empty boats is the definition of futility. It does not fix the drifting boat, but it certainly shatters your own inner peace and distracts from your unshakable purpose. Maintaining a flow state requires recognizing that while the collision might be inevitable, the suffering is entirely optional. However, understanding this concept intellectually is one thing. Actually staying calm when the empty boat is a screaming boss or a crying child requires a tangible shift in how we process time and space within our own minds. To handle life's impacts, one must cultivate inner emptiness, not a lack of character, but a vastness of spirit that allows for true resilience. A solid ego acts like a rigid brick wall. Every insult, setback, or rude comment smashes against it, causing damage and pain because there is resistance. In contrast, self-mastery invites one to become like the sky or the open air. When a stone is thrown at the sky, it simply passes through, without leaving a mark or altering the atmosphere. This shift from being a rigid wall to becoming spacious awareness is the essence of a true growth mindset, allowing the heavy boats of life to pass through without collision. The most effective tool to build this spaciousness is the pause, a conscious gap created between the external stimulus and your internal response. By waiting just 3 seconds before reacting to a trigger, one consults practical wisdom rather than animal instinct, effectively breaking the automatic chain of anger. This small window of time is where human freedom lives. It changes a blind reaction into a chosen response. It is the secret to maintaining a flow state, even in the midst of chaos, as it prevents external forces from dictating your internal emotional weather. You can apply this immediately. When a driver cuts you off, see them as drifting wood. When a boss yells, separate the noise from their intention. When online trolls attack, realize you cannot fight a ghost. These are not battles worth your time, but distractions attempting to derail your unshakable purpose and drain your focus. By refusing to engage with the drama of these empty boats, you conserve massive amounts of energy. Yet simply ignoring the world is not the final step. One must reach a level of understanding where the self is so fluid that nothing can even aim at it. The ancient philosopher Zhuangzi posed the ultimate question: if a man can empty his own boat, who can harm him? The root of our suffering is rarely the world outside, but rather that our own boat is too full, weighed down by a massive ego, the desperate need to be right, and the heavy cargo of self-importance. A full boat sits low in the water and becomes an easy target. For every drifting log or current, it invites collision simply because it occupies so much rigid space. True self-mastery is not about overpowering the river, but about the courageous act of throwing this heavy cargo overboard to float lighter. When one is full of themselves, every glance becomes a judgment, and every word feels like a challenge, making it impossible to ever truly enter a flow state. By clinging to a crystallized identity that demands constant validation, the individual walks through the world as a giant, fragile target, waiting to be shattered. Practical wisdom teaches that the harder you try to protect this rigid ego, the more brittle and vulnerable you actually become. True power is found in becoming fluid like water, which cannot be broken or damaged because it yields to the shape of the moment, rather than fighting it. To empty your boat is to achieve the highest form of freedom, not the freedom to control others, but the absolute freedom from being controlled by their unconscious actions. When you release the need to prove your worth to strangers, you align with an unshakable purpose that is immune to insults. Because there is no solid self standing there to catch the arrow, you become untouchable, not by building thicker armor, but by becoming transparent to the world's attacks. This state of being brings a profound silence to the mind. Yet one must still ask how to carry this philosophy when the fog lifts. So, the next time you feel the urge to scream at the fog, remember, the boat is empty. The driver, the troll, the stressful situation, they are just drifting wood. The only thing that gives them power is your reaction. Now I have a challenge for you to apply this practical wisdom immediately. I want you to look at your life right now and ask yourself, what is the empty boat that you have been struggling to accept? Is it a past regret, a difficult relationship, a failure? Don't just watch this video and go back to sleep. Wake up to your own self-mastery. Go to the comments below and write down your empty boat. By naming it, you stop fighting it. And if you are ready to build an unshakable purpose and truly master your mind, do not leave this circle. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we are building a tribe of people who refuse to be slaves to their emotions. To deepen your understanding of how to be fluid and untouchable, you need to understand the element of water itself. Click on this video right here, The Power of Water, to continue your journey into the flow state. I will see you there.